Welcome back to the Joust About Careers podcast. This episode features the highlights of the conversation with Michelle Ricker, a 2014 Van Buren graduate who is a writer and assistant editor at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. The highlights focus on how a typical day looks for Michelle, the differences between journalism and communications careers, the importance of a portfolio for writers, and how there are few limits regarding what writers can accomplish. If you want to learn more about Michelle's career journey, you can always watch or listen to her full interview. And if you find this podcast useful, please share it with someone else who could benefit from it. Enjoy the highlights, and I'll see you here next Monday for a brand new episode. Have a great week.
So a typical day can vary quite a bit. We have a daily newsletter that we do send out to faculty and staff. It's about 45,000 people. I help compile and send that pretty much every day, along with two of my team members. We switch who's actually sending it, but all of us have a hand in putting it together and making sure that it's been proofed and tested. So that includes everything from upcoming events to stories, anything that's like breaking news on campus, like when Hurricane Helene was recently impacting Georgia. We had a lot of information about that and kind of serving as a space for people to check in. So that's every day, every weekday. Once a week, we send to students, which I run point on that newsletter. That's about 18,000 people. That's both undergraduate and graduate students. And other than that, it really runs the gamut between meetings for initiatives that we're doing, like moving to a new email marketing tool, to editing stories that we get from across the university, because where I sit is in the central communications for the entire university. So we take things from all 9 of the colleges, like School of Nursing, School of Business, and put it in one spot, especially if it's things that relate to the entire university or that's like a big research grant that the School of Nursing got.
Right.
So we edit those stories and put them into the Emory News Center. And then I've also got my own stories that I write, which can range from anything from spotlighting students who are doing great work, either with student groups or research, or things like different initiatives from the provost's office. So it really runs a wide range, but there's always some level of email writing and editing. And I had always wanted to do journalism. So I started out at the University of Cincinnati as a journalism major. And then about a year and a half in, realized that I didn't necessarily want to do straight journalism because I wanted more work-life balance than traditional J jobs would give you with like newspapers. So I looked around some, when undecided, actually considered things like social work and physical therapy, and then came right back around very close to home and wound up in communications, and did a double minor in marketing and journalism, since I already had a lot of the journalism stuff. So I thought that that would give me a better range of ways to find a job, and I could still be telling stories, but it would give me other skills, at least from the employer standpoint, than just strictly writing. And then I actually wound up going to grad school right after undergrad, also at UC, also in communications. Journalism is much narrower as a field. There's a lot that you can do with it, but generally the classes are very focused on writing, interviewing sources, creating stories in multiple ways. So you can go the multimedia route, you can go the more just writing route, at least when I was in school, which they could have changed that by now. But communications is broader. So you are in the classroom, you're doing writing, but you're also doing more analytical things. You're learning more about theory. There's more talk about strategies that companies are using for communication. So it's not PR, but it pulls in some of that kind of idea of how do you want to communicate about X, Y, or Z. So the two together really made me feel like I had a great foundation for the theoretical side of things and why this would work or wouldn't work, and also the actual hands-on experience of being able to do journalism coverage. A lot of jobs require cover letters anyways, but certainly writing jobs require cover letters. And a lot of them ask for, samples of your work. And because I had so many bylines scattered so many places between freelancing and internships, I kind of wanted to put it all in one spot to be able to link to. So I did have that I was working on. And then, I've tried to at least somewhat keep up with it over the years. I don't think it's ever too early or too late to start one. It's just kind of nice to have, like I said, somewhere to point people instead of sending over attachments or something. And I would say you want to offer a sample of what you can do. So you don't want to put everything on there because that's overwhelming for them, and there's just no need to put every single thing that you've ever written probably or designed or whatever you're showcasing. And then I would try to hit a range of different things that you've done. So like if for writing, for instance, I've got everything from pieces about homes in Cincinnati that I wrote for the magazine to like a patient profile from a transplant patient at Emory to like explainer articles that I wrote about the internet when I was at Earthlink. So showing the range of things that you can do, but also the things that you're excited about. Like if somebody asked you in an interview, what is a project that you really loved working on or a story that you enjoyed writing? Those are the ones that you want to put there because they're probably some of your better work because you're so excited about it. As long as you have, like I said, like attention to detail is a big one. And if you're curious, which if you're going into writing as a career, you're naturally curious or nosy, however you want to term it. I don't think that there really is a limit because what I was doing at Earthlink was very customer focused, much more cut and dry explainer articles and working with the sales team to do some like paid things with Google. And I don't do that now. I don't do anything with paid. And I'm not writing explainer articles per se, but it's still the same idea of you're finding what people want to know, what other people are curious about, and you're really diving into that and trying to explain it in a way that makes sense to anybody who's coming across it. I would say at Emory specifically, there's a piece that I wrote this spring about a young alumni. I think he graduated in 2023, who is walking across the US to raise awareness for walkable communities. And so I got to chat with him when he was back in Atlanta. He started in like Seattle. So he was quite a ways through his walk by that point, but we got to chat. So that was super interesting. And just hearing, that was January when I chatted with him. So he was talking about, walking along the sides of interstates and having to figure out where to sleep for the night. So that was definitely interesting. And then, I've gotten to do a couple patient profiles for Emory about heart and vascular patients who have gotten transplants or who have been on ECMO machines for a lengthy period of time, which is just so interesting because that's very different than what I typically write about. But they've got amazing stories and they've all come through it with great healthcare. So just the range has been very fun.
If you liked this Joust About Careers episode, you can explore previous episodes and highlights to learn about even more careers of Van Buren graduates. To be sure you don't miss upcoming episodes, please click subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform so you'll know when the next episode is released. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with us, and we hope you will continue to prepare for your future by learning just about careers.